As you know, this is the year of making the world a place that works for everyone. And today's presentation is called The Metaphor of the Seed, which I want to say I actually wrote before Earth Day when this congregation went out and set up a booth to distribute seed bombs. So it really works well, and I was so excited when we had the seed bomb booth. And people were really interested because there's something about seeds. I mean, it improves everything when you're throwing wildflowers out to enrich Mother Earth. So, we all know those theoretical questions. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? If a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, I have another one for you. Do trees get up and move around when no one's looking? They do. I don't have to give this presentation. Jeannie just answered it. Yes, they do. We'll get back to that, Jeannie. What can seeds teach us, really? So Wikipedia has a clinical definition of seeds. A seed is a small embryonic plant enclosed in a covering called the seed coat, usually with some stored food. All seeds are different sizes, shapes, and colors. Well, that's one thing we have in common with seeds. We're all different sizes, shapes, and colors. I appreciate that. Do you know how seeds move around? It can be the wind, it can be animals. They get in their coats, they fall off in different places. Animals pick them up and eat them, transport them to different places, and occasionally those seeds then become the most expensive coffee beans in the world. So seeds have a rich and varied history. How do seeds know when to open up? Well, most seeds need heat from the sun and a certain amount of moisture before they'll open up. Other seeds need intense heat from wildland fires to open up. Some of the most beautiful flowers in the world occurred in Yellowstone after the big fires. I don't remember the names of them, but they're gorgeous. Trust me on that one. Go to Yellowstone. They may or may not still be flowering. Some seeds are food, but usually they're planted to produce fruit, veggies, shade, lumber, or whatever. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, used seeds as an example in the Science of Mind, page 137, in a short lesson titled, "The Seed of Perfection is Hidden Within." And I'll read it, because we all forgot to bring our Science of Mind textbooks this morning. The original life is infinite. It is good. It is filled with peace. It is of the essence of purity. It is the ultimate of intelligence. It is power. It is life. It is in us. In that inner sanctuary of our own nature, hidden perhaps from our objective gaze, nestles the seed, perfection. That's what Dr. Holmes says is within you, each one of us. No matter what, there's a seed of perfection within you. And this loving perfection is more powerful than we can possibly understand. But through proper training, science of the mind, we can and should use this power that's available to us. Seeds are one with their source. If they come from a tree, the seed is part of the tree. That includes the leaves, the branches, the trunk, the roots. They're all different parts. No one part is all of the tree, but it's complete of the tree. And the seed is always one with the tree, its source. Does that sound familiar? Kind of science-y of the mind? It's completely within every seed. There's an infinite potential to populate a forest if they're trees. Infinite number of new trees in one seed. All seeds have that potential, yet some never open up to the realm of possibilities. Isn't this true of people too? Some kids are born to affluence. They have it all. Their parents have money, homes, cars. And other kids are born with none of that. Their parents can't afford to house them or feed them. And yet some of the rich kids never open up. They never take root. They never create what they were born to do. While other seedlings, kids, with nothing going for them, find the perfect environment within. And they bloom, and they blossom, and they generate all sorts of benefits to their community, their earth, their mother. We have to think about that. Many religions teach there's three parts to a spiritual experience or a spiritual entity. In Christianity, it's the Trinity. In science of the mind, we believe in spirit, soul, and then cause or effect. So we have that three-part similarity with seeds. Seeds have three parts. I talked about that. An embryo, a food supply of nutrients for the embryo, and a seed coat. Each is part of the whole, equally important to the growth and proliferation of the plant from which the seed was produced. But let's consider those parts for a moment. The embryo of the plant can't survive without the food source or the seed cover, the shell. This protective shell serves many purposes other than just protection. It preserves the food source within, preserves that life. Sometimes it has hooks on it, so when an animal or a person walks by, it grabs hold and gets a free ride. And the plant spreads. That's how it gets distributed. So it can find better growing conditions from the act of the seed attaching itself or blowing in the wind or whatever it is. So the shell, I already covered that. You don't need to know. How does the seed know when to open up? Some seeds need moisture. They all need some sort of warmth generated, whether it's the sun or fire, as I talked about. How does it know to open that protective shell? That makes it pretty vulnerable. I'm going to open up just a little. No, they open up. They go, and they reach down into Mother Earth, and they send roots. Feel the sun, feel the warmth. I'm going to go into my mother. And at the very same time, they go the other way. They reach for Father's sky. And they know which way's down and which way's up. How do they know how to do that? They have an innate intelligence within them. They don't have a brain to go, well, it's June 3rd, it's a little late in the growing season. I think I'll pop out now. No, they have this innate intelligence that's within each and every seed that tells them it's time. We have an innate intelligence within us that gives us access to all sorts of things that our brain can't process. We have that. We have a protective shell. We call it human bodies. The human body has its own intelligence and fears and concerns. But everything needed for us to evolve and create and open up is already within us. It's within that body. The body, protective shell, serves a critical purpose, gives gives us transportation, protection, all the things that the seed shell does. And then we cast it aside. It returns to Mother Earth. But life goes on. The life we are, the oneness, we never lose that. Neither does the seed. So when the tree seed goes somewhere for a ride and starts a new life, it's the same life. It's one life. It's creative. It's evolutionary. When the shell is cast aside, it returns to Mother Earth and it provides nutrients and becomes part of the mineral kingdom and creates new life. But like us, the seed can never be different than its creator. And yet it encompasses all the elements of our planet. To grow as plants, seeds absorb nutrients from the mineral kingdom. Sometimes we supplement that with fertilizer, which some of us consider maybe a little poisonous, but it's got a lot of minerals and nutrients in it. Then the seed provides an energy transfer to the plant, to the animals that eat the plant, including humans. And then sometimes humans eat the plants themselves, or they eat the animals that ate the plants. So there's an energy transfer that goes on and on and on, and it's part of the cycle of life. And the waste becomes fertilizer and minerals, and the whole cycle goes like this, because it's infinite. It's perfect. And all the while, the living entity remains one with the Creator. It's never been separate. It still goes on. The seed completely and perfectly manifests all the characteristics that it contains. Sometimes it's a seed, then it's a seedling, then a plant, then a beautiful blossom. Sometimes it creates a tree, but it always recreates itself as a seed in the perfect image of its creator. Pine cones don't just become pine trees, they are already a whole forest of pine trees waiting to experience themselves as the forest. Pine cones are an infinite forest of possibilities, just like every single person in this room. There's no limits. All of the spirit that creates us is contained within us, just like the seed. We go through these growth and evolution cycles, a complete and perfect part of the whole, fulfilling our purpose and manifesting the glory of our Creator. Now let's get back to that shell. Can you imagine that the seed shell worries? I'm just a little seed. I don't know how to be a pine tree. I don't know how to grow. I don't know how to do this. Sometimes we as people, maybe our shell worries a little too much about tomorrow and about yesterday instead of living in the now. How can something so magnificent as a pine tree come from this tiny little core? How can something so magnificent as a symphony composer come from a tiny little baby who was born and didn't know all these things? How can something so magnificent as Mark come from whatever seedling he came as? We have to kind of learn to let go of the concerns of the seed shell and live within the core. That's where the innate intelligence is. We know what we are within our own core, and that we're one with all that is. Yet our human bodies worry about their very survival. I don't know how to manifest that which I am becoming, but I know how to sit back and let Spirit do the work. The Father within me, he doeth the works. If I would have gotten nervous this morning, I would have sat down and said, the Father within me, he doeth the works. I got nothing to worry about. And out it comes. Works for me. In The Science of Mind, page 119, 120, Dr. Holmes gave us a piece titled The Seed of Thought, and it's about spiritual healing. And this is a little longer, but I'm going to read it anyway. We know that the thinking sets in motion some law. Whether the word used heals or whether it simply sets the law in motion really makes no difference. The practitioner, or reverend, knows within himself, and that self-knowingness rises into the consciousness of the patient. So we don't have to worry about sending out our thoughts. It is just like planting a seed in the ground. The practitioner sows the seed, and the creative mind produces the plant. Does the ground operate on the seed, or does the seed operate on the soil? We don't know. But we do know that when a seed is put into the ground, something operates upon it, and a plant is produced. And that unless a seed is put into the ground, no plant will be produced. Ernest Holmes was a really sharp guy. He got this. And he allows us to get this through his words, his visions. We must see the correlation between the seed producing a plant and our divine ability to use our trained mind to place a seed into the universal law. And that's our personal growing medium. The universal law is there. And it is our growing medium. Whatever seed we plant will take root, will germinate, will grow. We will receive what it is that we believe, because that's the seed we are planting. So if you're not receiving the abundant life you were expecting, take a look at the seeds you're planting. A universal truth in so many religions is that you reap what you sow. Sow means throwing seeds into the ground. You know, it's kind of old biblical stuff. I was teaching a class of 5th and 6th graders at the CSL in Vegas, and I said, you reap what you sow. And they went, with a needle? Not one of the kids knew what that meant, to sow seeds into the ground. So that's why I throw that out. There is a seed of perfection within you. So you're free to change the seeds you are sowing anytime you like. So please choose wisely what plants, what seeds you're seeding. So I started this with, do trees move around when no one is looking? And I completely agree with Jeannie. Absolutely they do. And I have scientific principles here that I put down, sort of. I would suggest trees really do move around. If you agree that the seed is one with the whole, one with its creator, and we know seeds can move far distances before they open up, is the new tree anything different than the one that created it? No, it's the same tree. Because it's all connected. It's one. In The Art of Spiritual Healing by Joel S. Goldsmith, one of my all-time favorite authors, page 121, Goldsmith tells us, in the spiritual kingdom, there is no future tense. There's no such thing as time. There's only an eternal now. And in that eternal now, I am. That's the end quote. So knowing seeds can travel long distance, and there's no such thing as time. Trees are moving around all the time, and we just don't have the multidimensional perspective to notice it. Except maybe Jeannie. So hopefully, no, I will say, I know that today I have planted a seed that will open up someone sometime now to reveal their own perfection, the seed of their own spiritual nature. And I get this now, that Reverend Rebecca always says this. I love each and every one of you. Namaste.